I'm sure you're familiar with Einstein's famous quote, "The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results." Although there's no evidence that he actually said that, the essential meaning of this quote still holds true. Why is it that we as a nation continue to get sicker and fatter despite the billions of dollars in research, public health guidelines, and expert opinions on this matter? Why do we continue doing the same things over and over again and expecting different results with our weight problems? Over the past few years, I've consumed well over 50 books and countless research articles on this subject, since being overweight or obese is a major risk factor for sleep apnea. I've seen my country being relatively fit and trim in the early 70s when I first immigrated here from Korea, to the new normal of overweight and obese men and women. From what I learned, I could go on with dozens of reasons why I believe this obesity epidemic is happening, but I want to share with you one of the most glaring events that happened about 40 to 50 years ago that led to this problem. Despite multiple studies essentially debugging the study, this basic principle is still deeply ingrained not only in our culture, but also within the mainstream medical community as well. That one lie is this, that increased fat in your diet leads to high cholesterol, obesity, and heart disease. This funny analogy comes from Dr. Ken Berry in his book, Lies My Doctor Told Me. What are humans told which foods make you fat? Bacon, butter, and egg yolks, right? That's what doctors tell us to avoid if we want to lose weight. But what do farmers use to fatten their cows and pigs? Actually, they use corn and grain, which is also much cheaper than bacon, butter, and eggs. Here's another disturbing analogy from Dr. Berry. Using the same logic, if you wanted to have pate, which is made from fatty livers of geese, you'd feed the geese lard, butter, and tallow, right? Instead, they're force-fed using a tube into their stomachs to feed them corn. And if your doctor tells you that you're developing fatty liver disease because you're eating too much fat, does that make sense to you? The problem is that the dietary macronutrient called fat has actually nothing to do with the adipose tissue in our bodies. One doesn't cause the other. Believe me, as a surgeon, I see and feel real adipose tissues all the time, and it's nothing like butter or even the fatty streaks you see in steak. This problem started with a study that Dr. Ansel Keys published in 1978. He looked at dietary fat intake and cholesterol levels in 22 countries. What he found was that there was a correlation between saturated fat intake and cholesterol levels and heart disease. He ended up reporting on only 7 countries that had reliable data. Ultimately, he ended up promoting the Mediterranean diet, which had a lot of polyunsaturated fats found in olive oil. Dr. Key's study spawned a multi-billion-dollar industry for creating low-fat or fat-free alternatives in our food, and perpetuating the myth that eating fat in general makes you gain weight and have heart disease. What's happened is that rather than encouraging healthier fats in our diet, industry demonized all saturated fats as bad and was replaced with trans fats, carbohydrates, and sugar instead. In fact, not too many people know about this, but in 2015, the USDA and the Health and Human Services jointly released a statement that cholesterol is not a nutrient of concern based on recent published data. They also did not recommend reducing fat or increasing carbohydrates as a way of reducing weight. I still don't see doctors or dietitians recommending this. We're still stuck in the My Plate guidelines recommended by the government, which is essentially a smashed version of the old food pyramid guideline, promoting an equally balanced diet of carbohydrates, fruits, vegetables, low-fat dairy, and protein. If you're still skeptical about what I just said, or if you just want more information, you'll be able to find tons of useful books about these issues at your local library or on Amazon. Be warned, it's a total maze of very strong opinions from both sides of the aisle, including the pros and cons of Dr. Key's study. From what I've seen on both sides of the debate, it's clear that whichever side you choose to go with, you have to eat a healthy, organic option. Even with plant-based diets, studies have shown that while eating a healthy diet lowers your overall mortality, unhealthy diets raise your risk of dying. The same applies to meat-based diets as well. In Dr. Weston Price's experience studying indigenous cultures in all 5 continents in the early half of the 20th century, he found that all were thin and healthy with great teeth, despite eating only 2 food groups in many cultures. Some were more meat-based and others were more plant-based. But once they started to adopt Western processed diets, their health went downhill. You can still see this in our native populations all over the world. The key is to eat as cleanly as possible, as close to the source as possible. There's a big difference between getting your fat and protein source from McDonald's versus eating meat from organic grass-fed humanely raised cattle. The same applies to plants as well. The quote I started off this video with, regardless of who said it, still applies to our country's obesity epidemic. We continue to do the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Now that's insanity. What happened here is analogous to a theme that's common in Asian culture as well as other cultures, where if you tell a lie, then you have to tell more lies to set up elaborate scenarios to keep that lie going. One great example of this is found in the movie The Farewell. Now, you may be asking what an ENT doctor is doing talking about weight problems. As an ENT surgeon as well as a sleep medicine doctor, I've discovered over the past 20 years that without proper breathing, you can't get good sleep, and poor sleep leads to hunger and weight gain. Weight, sleep, and appetite are all interrelated and go hand in hand. That's an oversimplified version of what happens, but my point is that you just can't tell someone to sleep more to lose weight. Most modern people have significant dental crowding caused by our jaws not growing widely enough. Having smaller jaws leads to crowding of your teeth, needing braces or dental extractions. This ultimately leads to crowding of your upper airway, which becomes more narrow when you're sleeping, since the muscles relax more. This is one of the reasons why most of you who are watching this prefer or can't sleep on your back. That's because your throat tissues fall back more due to gravity when you're on your back, and worse when in deep sleep. I talk about all this in my Amazon bestselling book, Sleep Interrupted. A physician reveals the #1 reason why so many of us are sick and tired. You can find it in the link below. Stay tuned for more information on how you can breathe better, sleep better, so that you can lose weight and look and feel much better. This is Dr. Park. Until next time, bye-bye.